Thank you so much for being here. So the three of us will talk into this microphone, but that's for the benefit of the people at home. I think our voices will be loud enough that here in this room you can hear us. So thank you for being here in person, and thank you. You raised a hand. Okay. People are raising hands at home. I wonder if what they're trying to tell us. Okay. Okay, hi everybody. Okay, great. So welcome. We are the three school counselors, and we're here to talk to you all about senior year and getting your wonderful children ready to leave Swampscott High School and graduate. So we gave this presentation to all of the senior class on Thursday, September 11th. So they had this right when they got back to school. We walked them through all of these slides and sent it out. It has a lot of links and resources in it. So they've already been meeting with us and doing a great job of coming to see us, but we're here to explain it all to the parents and guardians too and make sure all of your questions are answered. So to start off, just reintroducing ourselves, I'm Rachel Sturma with the class of 2026. I have the beginning of the alphabet, letters A through E.
Hi, I'm Julie O'Neill. I have the middle of the alphabet, so seniors with the last names F through O.
And I'm Julie Mazzola. I have the end of the alphabet, P through Z.
So this is just a quick overview of what we're covering tonight. So we want you to know who we are and what we do, and then we are really going to break down the senior year things that need to happen this year. So all the pieces to the puzzle, we will help explain that to you, explain with the college application process who does what the students are responsible for, what the parents are responsible for, and what us as a school, the school counselors and the teachers are responsible for. So we will break it all down for you. We'll also talk to you about deadlines that are coming up so you have an idea of what your fall, winter, and spring will look like. We'll talk about the components of the application so you understand, again, all the pieces to the puzzle and what goes into the application. And then, of course, funding the college process. We want to talk to you about financial aid so you have all the links and resources you need to access that information. And then our students have a Google Classroom where we as counselors communicate with them all through the year with this presentation, information about scholarships and all of that. So we give them a lot of resources as we work with them. And so we started with the seniors talking to them about embracing their own path. That has always been the motto of our department for over a decade now, where the majority of our students, as you can see from the last 2 years of data, and this is similar to even what the class of 2023 was, the majority of students do go on to a four-year school. However, we want our students to embrace their own path, and we work with each individual student to make sure that they feel comfortable and supported throughout the process. So we told the seniors that this presentation is very heavy on college admissions because there's so much information to know and so many steps to the process. However, the counselors, we love and support all of our students on our caseload, and so we do have a wonderful document about vocational training. We can absolutely help you if you want to pursue the military, the workforce, and any gap year programs. We have resources for everything. So we want to make sure everybody understands that. When you look at our data, over 93% of our students go on to some type of further education, and that has been consistent over the past couple years. So the majority go on to a four-year school, but there's also a great number going on to a two-year school. And if you've heard, the state of Massachusetts has the program where you can go to North Shore Community College or any community college for free. That's a grant-funded program that exists right now. So we're seeing an uptick in students taking advantage of that. So that's really exciting for students. And then with the rise of vocational programming, we have 2 innovation pathways here at school, and the students are really sometimes interested in the trades. And so moving into the vocational programs is a wonderful option as well. So we're definitely seeing 5%, 4% doing that. And then sometimes students just need a break. They want to go to work, they want to take a gap year. So we absolutely support them in finding jobs or finding things that they're excited about after that. And then there's always a few students that do go on to the military, and that seems consistent over the years as well. So this slide is really how we started with the students and how we're going to start with you, all the pieces to the puzzle. These are various websites that the students need to become comfortable with. So when a student is applying to college, the top 2 websites that they need to worry about are SCORE and Common App. SCORE, if you have any younger children, you heard us talk about Naviance. SCORE is the new Naviance. It's a improved program that we're finding is more user-friendly, better customer service, and a better interface for the students to interact with. So we moved on to SCORE. We're having a positive experience with it so far. This is our 2nd year using it and the 1st year with a senior class, but really so far so good. And they've been very open to working on it with us. And so SCORE is basically the hub of Swampscott High School. Every student needs a SCORE account, and they need to list all of the colleges that they are applying to in their SCORE account. And that is how the teachers and the counselor submit the letters of recommendation and the transcript. And so when we sit with students in our individual meetings, we're talking to them about pull up your SCORE account, let's look at the schools you're applying to, because regardless of what application type a college takes, whether they use the Common App or whether they like you to go to their website, that college needs to be listed in SCORE. And the students definitely understand that, and we remind them of that. So SCORE is really Swampscott High School's way of tracking what your students are doing and where they're going and where they're applying. And the counselors have access to the kids' accounts in SCORE. Common App is a separate website, and that is how the student applies to the college. So it's commonapp.org. Hundreds of colleges take Common App. Hopefully that's a term you've heard before. That's how the majority of colleges want to receive the application. So that's absolutely an account that students should start. And that was on their to-do list back at the end of junior year and over the summer. So hopefully they've started it. If they haven't, the minute they sit with us in our first meeting, we will have them make one. That is how they will apply to college. It's a lot of it is very basic information. Who are you? Where do you live? Who are your parents or guardians? What courses have you taken? But that is also where they list their activities section, kind of like a resume, and it's also where they paste in their essay, which is the writing section. So it takes a bit of time to fill out the Common App, but it's not overly difficult. It just takes some time. So they need to have that account, and that ultimately is how they review and submit their application. Oh, sure. Great question. Do the letters of recommendation go to Common App or SCORE? They really live in SCORE, and they get sent through SCORE. However, we teach the students how to link the 2 accounts so that the accounts talk to each other. And so the letters get to where they need to go, but they live in SCORE. So we, as counselors, when the student's not with us, we can't log into their Common App. That is something they own. They have a username and a password. We don't have access to that. Oftentimes we ask them to pull it up when we're all together, but that is really a student-centered item, and that's the website, commonapp.org. And then there are a number of there are a number of schools that say no thank you to the Common App, and they only want you to apply through their institutional application. So for instance, Endicott is still one that does not want to use the Common App. And so students, or like McGill University in Canada, they don't use the Common App. So they are asking you to go through their process. MIT is another one. So we work with kids. Again, all schools have to be listed in SCORE, but then we work with however the college wants you to apply. So overwhelmingly, the majority of your students' schools will be through Common App, but some might be in another way. And then the bottom links are about standardized testing. That ship has almost sailed. Some of the students may be testing 1 or 2 more times this fall, but that is standardized testing scores. Again, this is similar to Common App. Counselors do not have access to those accounts. So we pull that up with the student, but that is when a student took the SAT or took the ACT, they earned a certain score, and that lives in their College Board account. And so when they log into their College Board account, they will see those scores, and if they like those scores, and if we as counselors strategize that they should send those scores to be part of their application, they would send that from collegeboard.org, from the SAT account, officially to the college. And that usually, unfortunately, costs a little bit of money, like $12 per school. That's what it was last year, at least. And so we strategize with the students because nowadays, since COVID, you've heard the word test optional. That's where you don't always have to send the scores. It's wonderful when the students take the SAT or ACT to earn a score so we can see how they did. But it's wonderful that it is test optional, so you don't always need to send. So we're looking at the averages of the colleges. We talked to the admissions officers. We just had Hamilton College in yesterday. We were picking that admissions officer's brain about, above what number do you suggest that the kids submit? And so we're constantly gathering information from admissions offices, looking at averages on their websites and what they publish, and we will build a strategy about whether or not they should submit that score. And then lastly, tomorrow's a big day, October 1st, FAFSA and CSS Profile are available. No pressure. It's not that you need to get it done tomorrow, but it is available for you to open up an account and start your financial aid application. So we recommend absolutely, no matter what your financial situation is, we recommend everybody does the FAFSA. That opens up doors for scholarships. It opens up doors for opportunities at the college. So that is the free application for federal student aid, and that is a free account. It's run by the government. You log in. Given that your children are going to college in 2026, you will use your 2024 tax returns, and you will log in. We have a slide later, so I think I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll talk more about financial aid in a couple slides. But FAFSA and CSS Profile, that is the responsibility of the family. The counselors, we can support you and give you resources, but we are not facilitating your financial aid accounts. That is on the parent and guardian to handle the financial aid documents. Is this me?
Okay, so this slide is really information that your student will need when they're filling out the Common App or the institutional applications that they're using. So this is really here. We shared out the slideshow with students already. We're going to share it with you as well. But this is just information that students need to know. Our GPA is on a 4.0 scale. It is weighted. We only report students' weighted GPAs. We do not report unweighted GPAs. If your student asks you if they should put their unweighted GPA anywhere on their application, the answer is no. We also do not report class rank as well. On the Common App, there's a spot where you can say none in terms of class rank. So please keep that in mind as well. Our date of graduation is June 5th, so very exciting. Mark your calendars. And the senior class size is 172. And then these codes on the bottom are just the College Board or the school codes. You might get asked that somewhere along the way, whether it's on the Common App or on College Board or somewhere like that. So for all of those instances, our school code is right there, 222100. And then this is the student to-do list. So we, again, shared this with students already, and we have it linked with all of the links that we want them to take a look at. We have a lot of video tutorials as well. We also put this checklist in a Google Doc, if that is a better way to look at it. So the first thing that we want seniors to do, and Julie and I were actually talking about this on the way here, how impressed we were, is scheduling a senior meeting with their counselor. I would say maybe I've seen like half of my seniors already, which is really, really great. Especially if your student is applying early action. If they haven't met with their counselor yet, please have them email us. We want to see them sooner rather than later, just so we know what their plans are. We want to get an overview of where they're at in the process, what questions they have, making sure that they're working on all of these other things on the checklist. And we want to see their list. We want to see where they're applying, and we want to make sure that they have a balanced list. And then next step, which again, I would venture to guess most students have already done at this point, is creating their Common App account. If your student has not created a Common App account, please encourage them to do that when you get home tonight. That is, again, where they're going to apply to the majority, if not all of their schools. So setting up that account is really easy. They can use their student email or their personal email, whatever they prefer. And then the next step, so these next steps are all things that they need to do on either Common App or SCORE to kind of make sure that everything is set up so that all of their documents get to their colleges. So the first step is matching their Common App and SCORE accounts, so that way they talk to each other, and when the student sends their Common App application and we send their letters of recommendation and their transcripts, they all meet up together in each college's application portal. So that's a really, really important step. And then for our counselor letters of recommendation, we require that students complete their resume on SCORE. We have a tutorial for how to do that, as well as completing their counselor questionnaire, just to learn a little bit more about them, about the things that are meaningful to them, if there's anything they've gone through in high school that they feel like would be really important for us to speak about in their letter of rec. We want to hear that. We might already know a lot of your kids we're really familiar with, but it's super, super helpful to have that all in one place. We write letters of recommendation for all of our students, so we want to be able to write really strong letters of rec that show off how amazing they are, and these two pieces are really important for that. And then teachers also write letters of recommendation for their students. We encourage students to ask 2 academic teachers for letters of recommendation. A lot of them have already done that and have even requested them in SCORE already. If your student is unsure about who they want to ask for a letter of rec, or they need some help with brainstorming, please have them come talk to us. We want every student to have 2 strong letters of rec from teachers that they've had while they've been in high school. And then the next thing that students need to do, and we, yes. They could, if your student would like to do that, I would encourage them to meet with whoever their counselor is, and we can walk them through that process. It's a little bit different than requesting on SCORE. SCORE is for teachers who work here. There's a different way of going about it for people outside of Swampscott High School. So if your student got college credit, have them send their transcript to their counselor, and we can add it to their Swampscott transcript. And it will say dual enrollment, so that colleges know it was a college class. Okay, so completing the transcript request form. So this is a little green transcript request form. Ms. Brown and all of us have them in our office for students to basically, we need students to tell us when their first deadline is. And we need to know 3 weeks in advance at least, so that we have enough time to write their letter of rec, make sure their transcript is all set to send. So students whose first deadline is October 15th, some of the southern schools, Clemson, University of South Carolina, they have those really early deadlines. We already need that transcript request form. I think most students have gotten it to us, but if your student has an October 15th really, really early deadline, it might be good to check with them and make sure they filled out that green transcript request form. Otherwise, probably the biggest deadline we have is November 1st. The 3 weeks prior to November 1st is October 11th, so that is when we would need that transcript request form from those students. We have gotten a lot already, but again, might be a good thing to remind your student just in case they haven't done it yet. And then easy peasy, just finish your applications and send them to your colleges. No big deal, right? Please make sure that your student sends their application by the deadline, if not earlier. The most important thing is that their application gets to their college by 11:59 p.m. on whatever the deadline is. So November 1st, November 15th, whatever it might be. And then again, as Rachel said earlier, if your student is going to send their test scores, their ACT or SAT scores, they need to send those through either the College Board website or the ACT website, whichever they are sending. If they're not sure whether or not to send, that is another great question and thing to talk about with their counselor as well. And then the parent guardian to-do list is a lot smaller. The big thing is filling out the FAFSA and the CSS profile. The FAFSA is required by every school for financial aid. The CSS profile isn't required by every school, so you can check with the schools your student is applying to see if they need to send that. It's more private schools require that. Both forms are available tomorrow, so you can start filling them out tomorrow. Woohoo!
Okay. So important dates in the timeline that everything is going to be happening. How many of you guys have gone through this process before? A few of you. And you still came tonight? I love that. Thank you. That's great. So some important deadlines coming up. October 15th with Ms. O'Neill was just talking about November 1st, November 15th. These are your typical early action or early decision timelines. So anyone that has those deadlines, if they're planning on doing early action or early decision, they need to be meeting with us ASAP. A lot of kids have, and we're really impressed and proud of them for listening to us in the senior meeting. So that's a really good thing. But if you ask them if they've met with us and they are applying early, please encourage them to make an appointment with us. The next set of deadlines for applying is January 1st, January 15th, February 1st. Those are your regular decision deadlines. Then, as we keep mentioning, tomorrow, October 1st, is the financial aid opening for the FAFSA and the CSS profile. With that, it's just, as Ms. Sturmer, I think, was saying, the form is just open tomorrow for you to start. It doesn't mean the deadline is tomorrow. It's just that it becomes available for you to fill out tomorrow. Each college is going to have their own deadline on when the financial aid form is due. So that's something for you to all as a family to take note of. So each college will be different on that. And then, as Ms. O'Neill was saying, the green form needs to be into us 3 weeks prior to a deadline. It really helps us keep us on track, keep us organized, and it really helps us write an effective letter of recommendation. You know, if a student doesn't meet with us, doesn't let us know about a deadline of November 1st, we've been in positions where Halloween, October 31st is happening, and we have, well, not anymore. I don't. I have a 16-year-old now. But back in the day, this has happened, and Mr. Irma has little kids, where they're out trick-or-treating, and then we get the email notification where it's like, oh my gosh, my deadline's tomorrow, and can you get my letter in? And it's a little frantic. So we just want to make sure and reiterate the 3-week deadline so that everybody can be the most organized and on top of their writing a thoughtful letter of recommendation. I think that's it for this one. Oh, nope. The bottom. I want to reiterate this part too. Students should submit their application when they are done. So as soon as that Common App or institutional application is complete, they can hit submit. They don't have to wait for us to submit our transcript and letter, and they don't have to wait for the teachers to submit their stuff on their end. If they're ready to go, they hit submit. All of our stuff will get there. The teachers and us, sometimes students will say, oh, I hit submit, so you have to hit submit. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Hit submit whenever you guys are ready, and we will too, and it will get there on time because we all submit prior to the deadline. Okay. So going back to me just speaking about some deadlines in that early action, early decision deadline of October 15th, November 1st, November 15th. What does that even mean? So early action and early decision, that's something that's happening now. We're meeting with a lot of students that have this plan in place. Who should be applying for early action or early decision? And does anyone know the difference? You want to say? Binding, yes, that's great. So early decision is binding. It is a commitment. If you get accepted, you have to go. You might not know your financial aid package at that point. It is a big decision to make as a family. You can only apply to one school early decision. we counsel the kids on this decision as well, but it really is a family decision too. But, we have to make sure, the student's in love with the school, they have the program, they have all of the fits, the social, the financial fit, potentially, but the academic fit as well. So early action is not binding. You can apply to as many schools. Early action, early decision is binding one school. Who does that apply to right now? So we tell the kids, by the end of your junior year, if you feel 100% confident in your grades and what your transcript looks like as far as the classes you've taken, how well you've done, and where your GPA is, that's one thing. If you have already taken one SAT or one ACT at least, you might be taking one more next weekend or this weekend or maybe in November. That's fine, but you should have at least taken one SAT if you are applying to schools that require it. So that's two. And also that you are sitting in a position with your extracurricular activities where they're not new to you. You've been doing them, you've been involved in them, and probably even some sort of a leader in these activities as well. So we want that resume to have been built. If you're in a position where it happens where, senior year, you kind of just getting out of your shell a little bit and finding your path, and you decided to join a club senior year, which is fine, but we want you to become established in a few different things. So those are the three main things why we say you should be a candidate if you want to do early action, early decision. Transcript is great, you've taken at least one SAT, and you're established in your extracurricular activities. Does that make sense to everybody? Going back to that early decision, if you do decide that ED is for you, there is a contract that the student has to sign, the parents sign, and we as your counselor sign as well. So it's very serious. It's a commitment. So definitely, if that's something on the table, make sure there's lengthy discussions around it and loop us in as well. As we said, the counselors are meeting with students right now, so that's excellent. Really proud of them. A couple more things. For IEP 504 accommodations, it is a student family responsibility to disclose this information to the schools. We do not disclose this information at all. No documents are sent on our behalf. You can take whatever plan your child is on or whatever recent testing they have done to a school's school service Office of Student Services department. Every college has one, and you can talk to them about how they can accommodate your student at the college level. And then student athletes. Any student athletes in here? Going? Okay, yep. So if anyone is planning on doing D1 or D2, they have to go through the NCAA Eligibility Center in order for us to upload their transcripts. So that's just an extra added step to the athletes that are looking for D1, D2. So for early action, the question is, are you obligated to pay full tuition at that establishment? Not for early action. Early decision, potentially. Because you could still get financial aid based off of the schools. Some schools offer financial aid for, need-based, and so you typically would get a financial aid package that way if they look at your FAFSA and CSS profile. In some schools, they don't base it on that. So that's what I mean by potentially. You That's the risk that you're taking. You're taking it's a financial risk to apply early decision without potentially getting financial aid. And if you applied early action to other schools and get a financial aid package via that way through a different college, it's a risk and it's a gamble. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you. Did someone, not what you probably wanted to hear, but that's, okay.
just for the people at home, I'll use the microphone, but the college that accepts the student early decision isn't going into the Common App and withdrawing the other applications. That's an ethical thing that they expect the student who was accepted early decision to do, is to go in and contact all the other colleges they've applied to and withdraw the application, because it was a binding commitment. So they expect the families to use the net price calculators that are on the websites, and they expect you to go in eyes wide open with what your financial aid package could probably look like when you apply early decision. So that's why they don't welcome families to back out when the financial aid package doesn't meet your needs, because they want you to have done that research ahead of time. So if this is not for you, we just recommend early action all the way across, and then you can compare and shop around and get all your financial aid packages. It's that early decision commitment where your chances of acceptance go up, but it's because it's a business and they know that you are definitely attending their school.
And then, sorry, just one more thing. I think people get caught up in, do I have to ED to a school? Where am I going to ED? What's my top school? Most students do not choose to do early decision because financially it's a binding contract. A lot of families just aren't able to do that. And I think that is something that we need to remember. Not everybody is doing early decision. And additionally, it's hard to know, this is my one true love college. I will go here even if I get in everywhere else I apply to. It's a really hard commitment to make. So early decision is not something that, there are definitely students who do it every year, but it's not the norm. I would say most students are either applying early action or regular decision.
Yes, thank you. Any more questions before we move on? Yes. So the question is, what is the advantage of applying early action over regular decision? And early action is you hear early. You hear back early, so that's the advantage. Typically by the end of December into January-ish is the time frame that you hear back. So you have, it's kind of like the weight off your shoulders, and you're kind of then enjoying the rest of senior year. Whereas when you're just hearing back from early action, some of the kids are just applying through regular decision, and they won't hear back until April. So it just is that you're hearing back sooner. Some schools, it's an advantage financially with how much financial aid they have to award financial aid packages for early action. That's not every college, but some colleges put a lot of money towards the early action. Early action is more competitive than regular decision. So that's another piece to the puzzle. But sometimes you get potentially more money doing it that way, depending on the college too. So that's basically, any other advantages you want to talk about? Oh yes, you don't make a decision. You just hear back early. You don't make anybody early action, early decision, regular decision. May 1st is the deadline to decide where you're going. Ms. Zato, did you have a question? Do you need the mic for the people at home? Okay.
My question is this: so my friend is a senior. She's not in a position yet where she's taking the SAT. She's not ready to apply early action, early decision. So she's kind of like in this panic mode, like, my kid's a great kid, and we've kind of just been going along. Should I be worried as a parent, thinking about my own kid, like, this kid's a great kid, we're just kind of getting the resume up and going. Should I worry?
All right, the question from Ms. Zato in the audience is, there are families out there that have this question, and should they be worried that their student is kind of just plugging along little by little, piece by piece? They're doing great, they're doing all the things, but they might be thinking just regular decision, and is that okay? Of course, 100% that is okay. And it happens, I think we're split every year. 50-50, early action, regular decision. Some kids do a mixture, do a combo of a couple early action, some regular decision. So we sit down with every single student and figure out what is best for them individually, and not kind of what maybe their older brother or sister or what their best friend's doing. It's very individual, but nobody should be panicked if their student is like, I just want to do regular decision, and take my time going through the process. Right now, a lot of the kids feel rushed and they're very nervous because it's like this, it's happening. So some kids want to just take their time and walk through the process slowly, which is completely fine as well. So early action, schools typically see an uptick in early action applications from very competitive applicants. So that's why it becomes more competitive in that regard. That's just it, yeah. Do you want to add to that?
So yes, like what Julie said, early action, the students who are applying are typically the ones who have great grades by the end of junior year. They're really ready to apply and they feel like they look great on an application. But keep in mind, if you do apply early action, it is a little more competitive. You also do have the opportunity to be deferred from that school, meaning that they looked at your application with the other early application students. They like you, but they want to wait and put you against the students who are applying in the regular decision pool before they make a choice as to whether or not you'll be accepted. So you do have that opportunity as well. They're going to take a second look at your application. If there's anything that your student has done between when they applied early action and when the regular decision deadline is, they can reach out to admissions at that school and let them know, you know, I got this award, or I'm working on this really cool project, or they can ask us to send their quarter one transcript so schools can see their quarter one grades. So keep that in mind as well when your student's applying early action.
And with our SCORE program, we're getting used to it, but it has a great interface and it's user friendly. So when the schools are listed in your student's account, when you click on that college, we have uploaded their Swampscott GPAs, and if SAT or ACT scores are available, those are in there. And then SCORE has an AI interface where it's gathering data from across the country about other GPAs and other test scores of kids who apply historically nationwide, and it's giving us a percentage of likely acceptance to each of those colleges. So we don't want to say that that's the be all end all and that's the only number we should be looking at, but it is something that we're using regularly to help them build a balanced list, which we've talked about a teeny bit, but we want to sit with students and make sure that they have some selective colleges that might be a little bit above their GPA, but also some that match where they're at, and then also some where they're above the average, because we're seeking those merit scholarships, we're seeking that financial aid. So we want a balanced list, a little bit in each bucket. And we're using those data points in SCORE to help us out with that.
Just to add on to what Ms. Dermott is saying about the AI, it even breaks down the AI of if this student in particular looking at their data applies early action, early decision, regular decision, it's giving you percentages of the likelihood of acceptance in SCORE. So how many of you have logged in and used SCORE with your students? Great, thanks. Definitely do it. Tell them to log in and you can just take a look at this. It's really great information. Also, another thing, kind of what Ms. O'Neill was saying about quarter one grades, that is another piece to this puzzle that we did not specify. Sorry about that. If you apply early action or early decision, schools do not see your quarter one grades. So another benefit of applying regular decision is that if you do well and you really want to showcase the classes you're taking, you're challenging yourself this year and you're doing well, colleges will automatically see your quarter one grades. They don't automatically see them for early action or early decision.
They will see what classes your student is taking senior year though. So no grades, but they'll at least see the list of classes that they're taking if they apply early.
Ready to move on? All right. Okay, the essay. So I know during junior parent night last year, we talked about this a little bit, and we've talked about it with the kids. The essay is, or it's called the personal statement, via the Common App, is the main essay. And then there are additional supplemental essays that each college could be asking specifically. Some schools do not require them. Some schools require, it could be 5 supplements at a time. So they're very short individual essays that are geared specific to that college. Why BC? Why UMass Amherst? We want kids to spend a lot of time, even though it's a very simple generic question, it is so specific to that college, and they are wondering, how are you going to answer this? We already know we're a great school. How do you fit into the community that we're building? So we want kids to take a lot of time in doing a lot of research to be specific with how they answer this, and that they can showcase why to the admissions officer they should be a part of this community. So this is another step in the process that we work with the students on. We give a lot of feedback on the supplemental essays. The same thing with the Common App's main essay or personal statement. This is their big one. This is the 650 character essay. The Common App, as Ms. Sturman was saying earlier, it's a lot of just biographical information. So you list out some activities. The essay is the piece to the puzzle that really showcases who you are as a student, and they get to know who you are, and they get to decide whether you're going to be a good fit collectively, holistically, with your GPA and academics and extracurriculars, but that essay is really showcasing who you are as an individual. A lot of students have started their essays. Some students take essay writing classes. Some of them started it last year with their junior year teacher. We do ask to see we give feedback on the essay as well. It's a really important piece. How many of you have seen your kids' essays so far? Great. We encourage them we give a lot of links here to showcase some really good exemplars of Common App essays that have worked. We really tell you, and I changed this, I didn't even tell you guys, I changed it on here, but after talking to Hamilton College yesterday, the admission rep from there, she was so good in helping us kind of word it so that kids might gravitate towards it a little bit more. But it's to tap into your daily routines, the very simple things that you do on a day-to-day basis that might seem so blah to an individual, but you can really write a nice story about yourself. She gave the example of pomegranates and how a student wrote an essay about how they love pomegranates and they just always, ate them in the little container that it comes in, and they realized that how difficult it is to open a pomegranate and get the seeds out and the work that it actually entails, and crafted an essay based on something so simple like that. And she just gave input into not taking advantage of the little things in life and just how that had an impact on her. And it's something so simple like that you can really create a whole story. So another example we talk about with the students is like a Spotify playlist. Name 3 songs that are on your Spotify playlist, what they mean to you, the impact they've had on you, and tell the story in a creative way to get to know, so that they get to know you as a student. So there's a lot of different ways you can take your essay. We have a lot of good exemplars down here, but we want the student to be themselves, to be honest. We don't want them to get caught up in writing AI ChatGPT essays, because colleges can utilize software to see if it's AI written, and we don't want somebody to be not admitted to a college because of something silly like that, when there's so many resources out here, us being one of the resources to help them. You guys, they're English teachers, there's so many resources out there. The last piece is like the cliche part of it all. So we joke around every year about stay away from the storytelling of the 9th inning baseball player down a run, they hit it, whatever, I don't even know. The baseball, yeah, they're striking out, they're defeated, or they're sweating, they get the strikeout, or whatever. The sports cliches are so overused that admission officers are like, stay away from those. They also don't want them to be too negative in having kids feel like they have to tell almost like a sad story. Or some kids come to us and they're like, nothing bad has happened to me, I can't write an essay. And it's like, no, that's not even what it should be about. So just keep all of this in mind. They should just be authentic and true to themselves when writing this essay. Any questions on that? Okay, so great links to check out on this slide as well. So obviously nowadays social media is so important to the kiddos. Even you guys, I'm sure you're scrolling. And so we wanted to kind of link up some handles from Instagram and TikTok where we actually do follow some of these people as well, because we do trust them and they have a lot of good information. So if we just figured this is a good way for students to kind of add them to their follow list and they could start watching some TikToks and Reels on Instagram and kind of collect some good information. There's a lot of information out there as well. And these are just some of the ones that we do trust and find that they have authentic information on their websites too.
Okay, so a lot of students have crafted their college lists or at least have a pretty good idea about where they're applying. There are other students who are really just in the beginning stages of this. We just really encourage students to continue their research. One really amazing resource that we have at SHS is we have college reps who come to school, like the Hamilton rep who we were talking to yesterday, who come to our school, meet with students who are interested in the college, answer their questions, give more information about the school, the application process, the great programs that they offer. And the really, really amazing thing about these college rep visits is that oftentimes the rep who comes to visit our school is the person who is reading the applications for this part of the state or this part of the country. So your student is getting really valuable face time with a person who likely will be reading their application, and they read hundreds, if not thousands of applications. So having a face to put to a name, being able to say that student was so friendly, they asked really great questions, is such an amazing opportunity. So we really, really encourage students to sign up for these college rep visits. They're listed on SCORE. In the next slide, it kind of shows you a little bit more about what it looks like. But essentially, they can look and see on SCORE when colleges are coming. And then they would go see Miss Brown at the front desk of guidance in the morning of the visit to get a pass to go down later in the day. And we also have a list of visiting schools on this slide. And then oh, yes.
I just want to add one more thing to that. So the kids, you know, we're not expecting everyone to know all the exact schools that they are applying to, but even if they're interested in it, to come down, we keep using Hamilton because it just happened, but we met with Hamilton because no one signed up to meet with them. And so it was a great opportunity for us to sit down with the rep, but no one did. I kid you not, an hour later, I had a college meeting with one of my seniors, and they said, oh, I'm applying to Hamilton. And I'm like, why didn't you come down an hour earlier? How did you miss this? So it's a critical piece to this, and we want you guys to encourage your students to make sure they're looking at the reps that are coming in SCORE. And also something that we told them as well, if you do know that a school is coming and you're going to be visiting them, as Ms. O'Neill is saying, this is the person that potentially is reading your application. Come forward with your best self. So, you know, you might want to dress a little bit nicer that day, appropriate. You might want to have a list of questions prepared to ask so that you can have an engaging conversation, so that they can say, this student is serious about the school. They've done some research. They asked good questions. It goes a long way.
Yes. Yeah, so I think students, get really nervous about this. So questions could be specific questions about the major they're interested. Tell me more about the business program, or I'm really interested in studying abroad, things like that. They don't have to be, if they've done a lot of research, we'd love it to be very specific, but even just those general questions for the rep to learn a little bit more about your student, for the student to learn a little bit more about the school, I think go a long way. The meetings are usually like a half an hour. It kind of depends. Some schools have a lot more students than others, so I think there might be more questions. And really the rep's just telling information about the school, the application deadlines, again, the really major programs that they offer. And then they open it up to questions. So it's not super formal. It's in the guidance conference room or in here when it's a bigger school like UMass Amherst has a lot of students going to it. So it's informal and it's more of a conversation. But I understand like being nervous about going into it. So again, just preparing a couple questions. Maybe it's a question you're asking a lot of different college reps. Maybe it's something specific about that school, but we would just love for them to have a little bit of face time and to be able to chat with the rep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Send a thank you, or then if you think of a question, you could get the business card of that admissions rep and then think of a question after to start engaging in an online email back and forth, which again puts your name on their radar.
Just going back to the question about what is a good question to ask, it is a time where you can start to become a little bit more individual in that face-to-face. So it could be when we're talking about strategy for testing, SAT, ACT. So it could be, you know, this is what I got. What do you think? Should I submit? Should I not? Same thing with AP scores. I got a 3 here, a 4 here. Do you accept what's the score cutoff that you guys accept at your school? So it could become as individual as questions like that as well.
Okay, and then moving on to college fairs, there's a college fair at Ipswich High today, right now. We are here, but the students know about it, so maybe somebody's there. We also would highly recommend going to the, I can never say this, NYACAC College Fair on October 14th. It's at Salem State. You do have to register before going, so you can register there so you get a little barcode on your phone to scan in. And then also for students who are interested in Canadian schools, there are Canadian college fairs as well that you can sign up for to learn more information. And then continuing your college research online. I think a lot of students have already been working on this starting junior year when we met with them in the winter. But SCORE, you can put in your college preferences and it will give you a list of schools that match what location you want to be in, how big you want the school to be, what majors you're interested in, all of those different criteria. And then College Board Big Future also has a similar feature on their website as well, and we really trust those search engines. There are a lot of college search engines out there in the world. We don't trust all of them. They're not all made the same. So SCORE and College Board are definitely our top two. And then lastly, going on college tours. How many people here have been on a college tour? Yeah, oh my gosh, almost everybody, amazing. Does anyone have like a favorite college they visited recently? Yes? Okay, Sarah Lawrence, amazing. Anybody else have like a favorite college? Okay, Worcester Polytech, love it. So there's so many different schools. I'm sure if you've been on a college tour with your student, you've seen them fall in love with some schools. That's great. We're going to look for more schools that are like that. You've seen them go to schools that maybe they didn't love so much. Okay, we're going to avoid schools that maybe are similar. So if your student hasn't been on a college tour yet, definitely go on one. If you're able to do a weekend, that's great. You don't have to worry about missing school. We do allow for 5 excused absences every year for college tours. So if you do have to do it on a weekday, just get a letter from the college. You can ask admissions when you're there for that letter, and they will give it to you, and you can bring it to the main office the next day for your absence to be excused. But college tours are awesome, and we highly recommend them. And then this is more for the students, but this is how you can see what college admissions reps are visiting and when they are coming. So this is from September. UMass Lowell and University of Vermont were our first 2 admissions rep visits. And these are just, again, the instructions to see when those college reps are coming so that you can plan for what days you want to come down to guidance.
We're almost done. Thank you so much for bearing with us. So this just breaks down more links for you, more resources about financial aid and scholarships. So like we've been saying tonight, there are 2 different financial aid forms. Everybody should be doing the FAFSA, and then some colleges, sometimes the more selective colleges, require an additional form called the CSS profile. And it's such a racket, but that one you have to pay to apply, I think. You're paying the CSS profile to apply for financial aid. But we link in here. Even if you Google schools that require CSS profile, the list will come right up. And so just check that out as you're working through where your students are applying. We have a few different financial aid resources where if you really want to it's important to know about this. And if you feel like you don't know enough, we have multiple resources. So through the years, we've partnered with a company called College Aid Pro. We highly trust them and recommend them. They run a monthly webinar. I think it's the first Tuesday of every month. So we link you here. If you register for that series, just join them throughout the year. Right now, they're focused on the financial aid forms, and in the winter and spring, they'll focus on scholarships. So absolutely, we highly recommend logging in and joining them for those monthly webinars. They also have an amazing interface, kind of like Common App for financial aid, where if you get into their portal, it's called the MyCap portal, you can compare financial aid packages. You can put in your very confidential income into this system and put in the schools your student is looking for, and it will tell you the chances of getting a good deal and what schools give better deals for somebody like you. So there's a free basic account, and then if you're willing to pay, it's $4.99 a month for the premium account. But when you get that premium account, you get all the bells and whistles of really comparing. And then in the spring, when you get your offer letters, it allows you to upload your letters, and it will compare them for you and tell you if you're getting a good deal. It will tell you if you should go back and appeal to the college asking for more money. So yeah, we've really been impressed with them over the years.
The people that run it, they're amazing, and they actually, I think, do a whole series, not a whole series, a whole of a night about negotiation and how to do that with the colleges. At the end of the day, it is a business. It sounds so icky even talking about it like that, but it is a business. So how to negotiate. And I think the gentleman left that was asking about the financial aid packages for ED, but that this is the piece that Ms. Sturmer was talking about, where you can do a lot of the legwork up front. Nothing's guaranteed, but at least you have an idea of what the package might look like by inputting a lot of your information in this program and having it spit out some potential money for you.
And then another resource that is very trusted and is wonderful is MIFA, the Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. That's through the state of Massachusetts, provides this resource. They have so many wonderful webinars. So if you want something at the ready and you don't want to wait for the monthly webinars of College Aid Pro, go on to MIFA. I'm sure they have a webinar or a YouTube video about what you're wondering. So check their website out. It's a wealth of information. And then we'll double check on the last bullet. Last year at North Shore Community College, they had something called EOC, the Educational Opportunity Center, and they were amazing. They were walking families through filling out the FAFSA. So if you feel paralyzed and you don't know what to do, there were folks over at the EOC office located at North Shore Community College who would sit with you and do the entire thing with you. That's not something that we're versed at, but we linked you up with them. We're going to check on that. Their website seems to be down right now, so we're hoping they didn't move, but we'll get back to you. If anybody's interested in that, just reach out to your school counselor and we'll set you up. And then moving over to the scholarships, that's also a wonderful opportunity for students to defray the cost of college. So we will have a spreadsheet coming to the kids of all local scholarships that we hear about. It's something where there's kind of different buckets of scholarships. So one is we hear about things and we're going to promote them to the kids. It may be something that's open locally to Marblehead, Salem, and Swampscott kids. We will put that on a spreadsheet so they know about it. And so we will link that into the slideshow soon. We had it living in Naviance, and now we're going to have it living somewhere else. So that's coming soon. Mrs. Brown will do that. And sometimes the smaller you can keep your scholarship applications, the more local you have a better chance of earning those. You could certainly apply to the Coca-Cola scholarship. However, you're competing against many students who are also doing that. So keeping it more to the North Shore or to the state of Massachusetts or to scholarships that are, if you're going to be an environmental science major, maybe you find a scholarship that is applicable to your interest. So finding something where you can find a niche that applies to you is always helpful to kind of separate yourself. So we link in bold.org as wonderful scholarships as well. And then a lot of kids, if you've ever attended a Swampscott High School graduation, at the end of the ceremony, we announce scholarships and the children stand up when they hear their name. So those are wonderful. We have over 76 scholarships with over, I think, $100,000 where it's just for the kids in this graduating class. So it's a wonderful opportunity. people of this community really care about our seniors and give back specifically to the 171 kids about to cross that stage. So we roll that out in February-ish. It's pretty basic. We'll give you a whole spreadsheet of all the scholarships and who qualifies. Some of them are for artists, some are for athletes, some are for students going into education, some are for anybody. So the students, we teach them everything, but they go through, find out the ones that are applicable to them. They write one basic essay. Maybe they could even recycle some of the words they already wrote for Common App, but they're writing about their future goals, their future plans, why they're a good candidate to receive the scholarship, and then they apply. And it's not us picking. The donors receive the applications and decide, and then they give us the names, and that's announced at graduation. I think the highest is around $5,000 down to even $250. So they're certainly not going to pave the whole way to go to college, but it does absolutely help with books or a laptop or something like that. It's wonderful to see that the community giving back to our kids. And then we just give you more links about other search engines, and we want to have you have as many resources as possible because I know this is overwhelming. But yeah, we encourage you to get on with College Aid Pro and MIFA and stay tuned for us communicating about scholarships. And if you have any specific questions, we'll absolutely help you out. Yeah. The slideshow? Where can we access the slideshow? We will blast it out to you tomorrow. I'll send it. So I think this is not something we need to go link by link, but this was kind of our glossary, helpful resources. All the links probably that you've seen throughout the slideshow are here at the end. So definitely click around. It's kind of a one-stop shop for the things that we've talked to the kids about and what they need to be doing. Okay, this was our last slide for them. So we have a Google Classroom for the kids where we put all of our presentations, like I said, and all the information throughout the year. So we really want all the senior classmates to be in our Google Classroom. And then the last step for them was to email us to make a meeting. And so like we've said, we've already seen a lot of them, and it is only September 30th. So we still have 4 weeks to go before November 1, and then, you know, many more weeks before January 1. So it's going well. This is a lovely senior class. When we met with them for that September 11th assembly, you could have heard a pin drop. They were so lovely, so attentive. Even for the folks in the audience that maybe college wasn't even their plan, they were so respectful, and it was a joy. Because sometimes we do have to comment on behaviors or people being quiet, but everybody was so lovely, and so they're such a nice, kind group of kids. We've really enjoyed it so far. So I think that's our last slide. Who has questions?
Questions online. Anything? Yeah.
I was working with my students just today on linking up Common App and SCORE, and this question came up about FERPA, is that something you recommend?
Sure, yes, the question is about FERPA, and that's a step that needs to be taken in order to match your Common App to SCORE. The FERPA lives in Common App, and it's basically kind of 2 steps you walk through with the student. One is it's allowing, if you click yes, it allows us to send the transcript, which is kind of needed through all this. So you're giving us permission to send the transcript to colleges. The other part is about waiving your rights to read letters of recommendation. You either waive your rights or you don't. We always recommend that the students waive their rights to view letters of recommendation. 1, because our policy as a school is you don't get to read the letters of recommendation anyways. But 2, the colleges are looking to see whether you did waive your rights or not. Can anyone guess why? Yes, they want honesty. So they want to know if a student waived their rights, they understand the letter they're receiving is very authentic and is truthful, and it's a good representation of the student. So some schools, their policy is open, and the student might say, well, no, I want to read the letter, so I'm going to hit no. And the college is like, is this letter I'm reading from this teacher where their hands tied because the student is going to read it? So we just say waive your rights, and after you do that step, the student signs their signature, and then you can match up to the SCORE and Common App together. Sure. Anything online?
Are we applying for financial aid before or only after acceptance to any college?
The question, you want to read it again?
The question from home is, are we applying for financial aid before or only after acceptance to any college? So definitely you want to do both of those things at the same time. So do not wait to find out if you get into a school. You are applying for financial aid. Just like Common App, at the end of the FAFSA, you list all the colleges that your student is applying to. So in multiple places, you have to list your colleges. So you are adding the schools to your FAFSA, and then your financial aid information will be received at their office for financial aid. So you're doing that sooner than you get an answer to the college. So we're applying for college and we're applying for financial aid in similar time frame.
That sounds like it's it from the online crew. How many people in there? 26. Okay. Oh, even Steven's split down the middle, right? Sounds about right. Okay. Do you guys prefer being in person, or were you guys at the band meeting? Ah! We knew it, Mr. Roby. Did you have another question? Oh.
I can answer this. Yeah. Okay, so this is a good question. UMass Amherst and a lot of other very popular schools that people apply to from here, I know UNH is one as well, they ask for you to fill something out called the STARS form. If you have older students, you might remember them perhaps complaining about something called the SSAR. It's the same thing. Essentially what they're asking you to do with the STARS form, it's not hard, but it is a little tedious, is basically putting in every single class that you took in high school and the final grade that you got line by line from your transcript. So you can ask your student's guidance counselor, or your student can email us and just ask us for their transcript. It's very annoying from I don't know, my perspective, but honestly, I think it's because schools want students to enter in all of that information themselves because it's easier than them going into the transcript and somehow uploading it to their system. They do cross-reference it with the student's transcript because your student, you know, could put a different grade than what they got, but we would encourage them to be honest. So that's what the STARS form is. Yeah, you're self-reporting your transcript. So again, it's tedious. Yeah, not many schools, but UMass Amherst is one of them. So I do think a lot of students end up having to do it because UMass Amherst is such a popular school for students to apply from here. But that's a good question. That's always something that comes up.
In the back, did you have a question?
No. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. That's a great question. So being deferred means that you applied early action, they want to see more from you, so they're going to push you to regular decision. And then from there, they will give you an answer, whether you got accepted or denied. Or option C, which is waitlisted. So that means that they are putting you on a list where they're waiting until May 1st to see how many students they accepted are actually coming to their school. And then if they have spots left after that, they'll open up the wait list and you might get an email or a letter saying, congratulations, you're off the wait list. Would you like to come to UMass Amherst? So before May 1st, if you're on the wait list somewhere, you cannot count on that being the school that you're going to, even if it's your number one school. So you should still put in a deposit to a school that you are accepted to and that you like, even if you don't love it, if it's choice number 2, because you might not get off the wait list. That's the gamble of it. I don't know if I would call it a gamble, but that's the hard part. You don't know if you're going to get off the wait list or not. They might have 3 spots open up, or they might have 300 spots open up. Yes. Does that just help with kids who are looking to play somewhere? Do you have to do all that legwork on your own as far as there's places you can hire to help you talk to coaches or reach out? Does the high school help?
The question is, does the high school help with athletes and talking to colleges and coaches? So it is not something that we do. I am not sure if maybe the actual coaches of the sports or Miss Wolf is the one that does that. In my own personal experience, it is something that I am currently doing on my own with an advisor that we have hired with the club team he plays with, that coach. So that's how we've kind of managed it. We've never had the interaction with talking to coaches and doing any of that, the recruiting and any of that, but I'm not 100% sure. I would assume, I think you've worked with Mr. Bush a little bit on some of the football stuff. So I do know some coaches help with that, and I'm not sure about Miss Wolf. She may as well. Not required, yes. Okay.
Does Swampscott report annual or quarterly grades?
Does Swampscott, the question from home is, does Swampscott report annual or quarterly grades? So on the transcript, it's a final grade. So it is that cumulative, what you earn for your final grade that gets reported. But in the self-reporting, is it?
In the self-reporting, the STARS form, or if you're doing it on Common App, you are still reporting only your annual grades. You're not reporting your quarter grades. You just have to report annual. There's a spot where it asks you what grading schedule are you on, and you will say annual or yearly, whatever the wording is.
And then just senior years when you can see the quarters.
Just senior years when you can see the quarters for the people on the Zoom. Good question. If you're applying for a deadline in January, do they see Q1 and Q2 grades or just Q1? At that point, just quarter one. Our quarter one grades close in the beginning of November. The quarter two grades don't close until the beginning of February. So most schools by then, their deadlines will have passed. So they're really using quarter one grades for regular decision. We do send quarter two grades to every school that students apply to. It's called the mid-year report. Even if a student's been accepted, schools still want to see that mid-year report to make sure that they're still doing well.
And that they're still in classes and haven't withdrawn or dropped any.
One more question. If you get waitlisted or deferred from early decision, does that mean you can now apply to another school?
If you get waitlisted or deferred from early decision, does that mean that you can apply to other schools? Yes, correct.
You would not be waitlisted from early decision. You would either be denied, accepted, or deferred. In that case, if you were deferred, you could apply to other schools at that point because now you became a regular decision applicant. Does that make sense? All right, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.